Hey everybody, welcome to You're Not the Audience. Sorry about the late start. I was having some camera difficulties with OBS. I think I got them fixed now. So if you're in the chat, let me know if everything's looking and sounding okay. There's always something every once in a while. But yeah, welcome to You're Not the Audience. This is a weekly live show where I break down brands, products, and subcultures that stand out by not appealing to everyone. I'm Calvin. Okay, Aaron Good said, I see you. There's always something down at the end with cameras. So I'm Calvin, creative director at Parliament, and Parliament is a brand transformation agency that helps brands when they're facing big challenges and big changes. And we help them get to that next version of themselves by using strategy, positioning, identity, messaging, all that good stuff. And today I think is going to be a big brand strategy heavy day, it feels like. We're going to be talking a lot about honestly, we're going to be talking about why we bother making things at all. I feel like that's what really this discussion is about. When I titled this The Search for Beauty in the Age of Algorithms, and I think it's really about our quest for why we make things, what is beauty, what is craft, what is taste, what are all these things, why do we even care about them? So I'm going to zip through this real fast now today since I got a late start, but everyone doing good? It's been sunny and beautiful in Portland. It's like officially t-shirt weather here, so I'm feeling pretty good. Structure of the episode is going to be start with our normal news and obsessions, then we'll dive into this idea of beauty in the age of AI and algorithms. And we'll kind of just end with some things of like, I don't know, let's talk about some of our favorite ways to go touch grass, to get away from our screens. So we'll end with that. News and obsessions, fun one that I have really been obsessed with. Friend of Parliament, Bobby Baker. He's a designer who runs a small agency called Leagues Design. Just recently did this update to the look and pack of Iron City beer, which is an absolute classic. This is like basically the beer of Pittsburgh. And it's been around for a long time, and I have just been obsessed with how this all turned out. I think I've talked a lot about like heritage and timelessness on this podcast, or on a podcast, whatever we're doing, on this live show. And I think they just nailed it. They dug back into what's always worked for them, kind of reimagined it. It feels as like it's always been this way, and somehow also feels new. So I think they really nailed it on this. It looks so good. So shout out to our friend Bobby. Nice guy, great designer. And so I love how it turned out. I think this is also going to be very relevant to what we're talking about today, of like how you capture the feeling of craft and like human attention was put into something. So this feels like a great one today. And speaking of craft, other bits of craft and little whispers of human attention being put into things. We just got illustrations back from illustrator Brett Parson for our annual golf tournament called the Caddyshack Invitational. And the illustrations are super fun. So we asked Brett to reimagine this little rabbit character that we've used in the past for this golf tournament. It's a very unserious golf tournament. We're all terrible. We just, use it as a reason to go have some drinks in the morning on a sunny day. But so he drew up this character whose name is Bugs Bogey, and mischievous little golf guy. And we're going to start throwing him all over stuff. I already started designing a bunch of fun things, and let's see, maybe I can toss up a little tease at some of the stuff. I don't know if we'll end up making all of this, but there's always... Let me see if I can find where I put everything for this. We designed up some... I'll toss it over here. So just started designing up some tees. The things on the top right are like poker chips that you use to like mark where your ball is located while you're golfing. Just designed some bumper sticker. I love Bugs Bogey, Caddyshack champion, or help, I shanked my balls at the Caddyshack Invitational. Just super fun to make this stuff. So it gives us an excuse to just make some goofy stuff. Oh, looks like Windsor. Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun to just dig back and like, I collected all this imagery of old golf brochures and things like that. And so it's fun to kind of dig through those, pull some things out. Got some nice little shout-outs like Be the Ball to the actual Caddyshack movie. So I love how these turned out. Brett did great, like he always does. Absolutely nailed it. So that's been another fun thing that we've been working on the side. So now let's close Photoshop before it crashes my computer or something. Not that Photoshop would ever do that. Okay. All right. I feel like we should, one of the awards, we always give awards for whoever does best and worst in the golf tournament. And I feel like we should give away like a free tattoo as long as you get Bugs Bogey as the tattoo. But, all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the search for beauty in the age of algorithms. And this is just something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I mean, I think everyone has, like, as our lives are becoming more and more ruled by social media algorithms, AI prevalence, things like this. And really what I'm most focused on, most curious about this is just, I mean, this is just a fact. Like, our attention and our time is becoming more scarce and therefore more valuable. That's what's happening. It's like the world of AI and algorithms are maximizing and optimizing every second of human attention right now. And I think that's opening up an opportunity for slower, more thoughtful moments of craft, beauty, and taste to become even more valuable to people and to brands. And I think one of the reasons this is coming to mind is because I feel like we're kind of hitting a switch in the way we're interacting with all these things. And we talk about, I think last week we talked about like the unshitification of tech, or we talked about that a few weeks ago. And I feel like this is applying to a lot of aspects of our life where we're reaching a point where we're no longer using the technology is using us to some extent. We feed the machines to make them smarter. There are like new jobs that are coming out where we're being the ones relegated to fact-checking algorithms and AI and approving their work. And I mean, maybe this is just my opinion, but these all feel kind of like soulless experiences that we didn't really sign up for. They've just been kind of hoisted upon us by, large organizations. So I think brands that are actually paying attention to their fans and can show it, I think that is going to become more and more valuable. But I think it's also then, I talk about beauty in this. So I think it's worth kind of like defining what I'm meaning by beauty and craft and taste and all of those things. But it's probably most important to understand like some of my background with that. Like my background in beauty and craft is I went to art school. I think that really defined it. I did not study design. I studied painting and sculpture. And so I come from this like very like critical theory heavy background. And that's the way I've come to look at beauty and craft. But it was then through me being a nerd who learned to do front-end development 20 years ago that I got into design. That was how I got my first design job as a young dumb 19-year-old. And so to me, beauty and craft have always been artful endeavors. One's of passion, one's about caring. And that's whether you're making a painting or whether you're machining parts for a car. Like there is beauty and craft involved in all of those things. And I think the way I specifically always think about like beauty and value of art and things like that, I'm gonna get really, really art school deep for a second. And like there's a classic essay from World War II times called Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. It was written by let's say it the proper way, Walter Benjamin. Walter Benjamin, as everyone will say it here. He wrote this essay discussing how there's an aura to an original piece of art or an original creation. And that aura is kind of its authenticity or its uniqueness. And all original things that have been crafted by humans have this to some extent. And it's usually, yeah, revolves around the idea of like a little bit of scarcity, they're unique. And there's a problem though that happens with art in the age of mechanical reproduction, hence the title of it, is that the more you reproduce and create mass reproductions of art, the art loses its initial aura and loses its cultural value and starts being replaced with some capitalist intent. Which, I mean, I'm a designer. I love branding. I always have a capitalist intent, whether I like to admit it or not. So that's not always bad, but it can be bad when you start applying it to art and a lot of the things that we create, and when you start making it too efficient and optimizing it to the nth degree. So that's kind of where my background comes from, is like, how do we protect a little bit of that initial aura from the creation of a thing? And I talk about taste. Taste is related to this in a way, because I think taste is inherently a very human specific trait that I think a lot of AI and algorithms don't have, because taste applies to care, and taste is having the confidence to assert one's own vision of the world. And that's really about like sharing your passion, your joy, and care with other people. So that's some of my background on how I think about beauty and craft and taste. I'd be curious if anyone else has like very different understandings or different thoughts on like what they think beauty is at that point. But so we're talking human attention, and how I think really then it's the attention that you give to art and things like that that makes it valuable. And this isn't a simple conversation of like AI is bad or social media is bad and craft is good. I think AI and things like it are just the latest tech competing for our attention. Everything's screaming for our attention. And like, we all know the downsides of AI and the attention economy. And I think there are some upsides to these things. There's some good, but we're just in a time where the downsides make it really hard to appreciate what technology is now capable of doing to our brains. So, I mean, I think for both social media, even some AI tools, I think some of this stuff can be incredible. I mean, I was a diehard Tumblr kid. Tumblr changed my life, and that was all social media. So, like, there's whispers of good in all this stuff. It's just how the enshittification process starts whittling them away. So my real focus is more just about how the more digital content demands our attention, the more valuable human experience becomes. And I think that's a pretty important thing for us as branders to remind ourselves of. You know, tech is about giving us abundance. There's no real scarcity in it. It's everything everywhere all at once. And the problem with that, though, at this point now, is that our attention is so whittled down, is that abundance is just leading to noise. Novelty is losing all value. We talked about that a lot during the beer episodes, how novelty, just when there's so much of it, it's not novel anymore. And even efficiency starts to lose its value, and we start romanticizing these like slower means of creation and slower means of making. So technology was once this like scarce, unique new thing, but now that scarcity is shifting towards craft, taste, expertise, tactility, like real physical experiences. That's why everyone's buying vinyl. Everyone in chat, put your most recent vinyl you bought in chat. Anybody a vinyl nerd in here? If you've bought vinyl, you're one of the nerds I'm talking about here. Jared says, "Oh crap. Yeah, what's your most recent vinyl purchase?" I gotta actually think of what mine was. I don't know. I go to a lot of metal shows, and so I end up just picking up vinyl for bands as they're touring, just to kind of like, I don't know, share the love, give them a little bit of cash to pay for gas. So, okay. So that's scarcity. All those things are becoming scarce. The things that are like very specific human experiences, and that's because like attention is becoming like an extractive thing at this point. Like, the Visitor's Neptune. Oh, I don't know that one. All right, I'm gonna take note. I'm screenshotting it so I remember. Screenshotted. So like the idea is like attention is almost becoming extractive at this point. Like it's starting to suck a lot out of us, and every platform, AI, every social algorithm are focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's like getting a few more seconds of your time and creating this addicting loop that's based on that. We got our world of like, this is nothing new. We've all complained about these, like notifications, ads, social media. I mean, live streaming. I'm demanding your attention right now. This is all doom scrolling. We're all victims and we're all instigators as well. But I think this is kind of just like this point where all of these things are constantly battling with each other, all for attention. Like this is just maximum optimization at every level of our physical and digital lives. But I think the big part about this is like we've reached a point now where I think very little of these are actually giving attention back to us. And I'll talk a lot more about like what that means, but just the idea that like they're only extracting from us at this point. Like nobody is convinced that social media and things of the sort are actually really a net good anymore. And I think the problem with it too is that they've all started feeding off themselves, and we've fed it so much that now, at the current state at least, AIs and algorithms are kind of just agents for genericism and homogenization. This probably won't always be the case, but that's kind of where it's at now. Like you can't, I think Chris, founder of Parliament, had always said this idea that like, that kind of applies here, and I've always loved it. It stuck with me. The idea that like, you can't always follow best practices or gold standards and also create completely new, innovative, revolutionary ideas. Like those are almost at like odds with each other. And a lot of the AIs and algorithms and things of that sort are based on like understood like human thinking. And so when you're using those things for something else, it's hard to kind of actually step out of that, do some lateral thinking and create something new. So I guess if that's kind of like where we're at, you know, if that's like, if we're just, now our attention is fully just getting extracted from us, we're not getting much back from brands, where's the opportunity for people, for brands? I mean, I think this is, I keep talking about brands and people because I think this is a larger psychological thing that's happening to us as a whole culture. And so I think if brands kind of mimic what I think people are feeling in that sense, I think brands can actually have some success as long as it's genuine. Jared says, it only knows what we have taught it, so for it to become conceptual is a huge ask that is a long way off. Yes, absolutely. Who knows? And like AI is also one of the only technologies we've ever created where like the rate at its improvement and the way that it feeds itself, like it is no other technology, whether, I mean, some of our like biggest technology breakthroughs ever of like capacitors, chips, things like that, like they've all required human intervention to create the next step of them. And now AIs are reaching a point where, and algorithms too are reaching a point where they're teaching themselves the next steps. And there's never been anything like that. So it's like, who knows where it's going to go? Rather says 100%. Makes me think of how good got so shitty in the 60s. Oh, how food got so shitty. I assume that's how food got so shitty in the 60s when the tech of mass food production and preservation was getting legs. Oh, yeah. God, if you go back and look at like 50s and 60s recipe books, I just did that not too long ago. Those are wild. There's some fun recipes in there. You're like, I can't imagine anyone making that anymore. Okay, so where's the opportunity for everyone? I think this is the biggest, like, simplest idea to keep in mind for this, for me at least. So, how do brands stand out in this world of AI and algorithms and constant human attention extraction? I think it's the idea that craft is attention frozen in time. The idea that, like, when you make something, it is care and attention embodied. Like, beauty is proof that someone was paying attention. And so if craft is the evidence of human time and attention, that starts being something that's going to start becoming more and more valuable as that attention, as we're getting room for less and less attention in our lives. So, and I think taste, craft, beauty are all evidence of attention being applied to things. And we value things that require attention. I mean, when you think of like what requires attention that we relay, I mean, like, we think of artists, we think of chefs, illustrators, carpenters. These are all things that we romanticize because of the effort, the skill, the craft, and they feel valuable because we can feel the attention. Excuse me, inhaling water. Don't do it. Excuse me while I choke on water over here. Aaron, thank you. Bless you. Okay. So the idea that you know, you can feel that attention. So it's just as simple as that, like, attention means you care. That's it. Like, for people, for brands, attention means you care. And so how do we kind of like continue to harness that? Because AI and algorithms, all they do is they produce outcomes. They can make things or serve things up that will grab your attention. But what they can't do really yet, as we were just discussing, they can't do is show something worth caring about, because they don't have that style of passion and joy and shared communal human experience. You know, efficiency, optimization, and outcomes are really their only goals. And the sad part is, like, a lot of people who are at the top of organizations pushing these things, those are their goals as well, which I would often argue that efficiency and optimization are maybe the opposite of passion and joy in life. So, because, you know, I just want to slow down and relish all the things. But I think it's also kind of worth reminding ourselves, and this is something we've actually been talking with some clients lately. We've worked with some clients in AI related worlds. And I think this is just kind of a thing to think about, that the opposite of AI isn't necessarily human or more human. It is really just about caring. It's about showing that you care about something larger than just that maximum efficiency and optimization. You know, like I said, like, it's passion, it's joy, it's reveling in the things that we deem meaningful, even if they seem frivolous. And that's, like, regardless of how slow or messy they are. So I think the brands that show they care will be like the ones that I think can actually step ahead in this. So are there anyone in chat have, like, are there brands that you think about that, like, when you think about, they really feel like they care about something, they feel like they embody craft or something? I mean, I was just talking about Iron City, good simple lager, feels like it really embodies this idea of, like, heritage craft. It's made by just a bunch of folks in Pittsburgh who really care about this stuff, and they've been doing it for a long time. So, like, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, what are some brands doing? I think this one's also fun to talk about too, because I did a big discussion about, like, how craft beer ended up in a tough spot because they went too deep into novelty. And like this is essentially a craft beer that's just like a light lager. They just do it the way they've always done it, and they're doing well because of it. So love to see that for them. I mean, I feel like there's some other classic brands that are really good at showing that they care, that are on like a larger level, and I think some are like, some are like Muji, because you know Muji always has this like less is more mindset, which is wild for a giant retailer to have that mindset and preach that. But something about the way they do it, like you feel like it actually, like they actually do care about it. So I think that's Muji's an interesting example. I think brands like Aesop, where they just like their messaging, their spaces are really intentional and thoughtful, and it feels like they really, really, like they really care about the things they make, and they imbue it with like a spiritual aura almost inside of these things that you don't just get by like mass production, mass optimization. I mean, they are mass production, but it doesn't quite feel that way. We have Valerie, yes, but then they sell out Everlane. Oh my god, yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually my next little thought about this, is that a lot of these brands that have focused on craft, and this is actually something I don't have an answer to, maybe I'm too old for this. These brands, they might all be doing terribly as far as I know now, because they're a part of like the millennial branding explosion, where it became about like Everlane, where it is just like, it's about good, simple things done right, ethically. And I don't know like what this new version actually exactly looks like for like a younger generation, how craft gets interpreted. I think it might end up being a little less about just craft in like the making of an object, and I think more about like crafting shared human experiences. I think the idea of like social connection is going to become its own like craft in an odd way for a lot of people. Jared said, Patagonia would be the front runner in my mind, but I don't know if it's the brand or the people behind the brand. Yeah, Patagonia is a great example of like, it feels like they care about something. And the reason, okay, one thing I love about Patagonia is, I can't remember when they did it, but this is a question we ask brands all the time when we're talking about their values as a brand. Like, and the biggest question that usually tells you if a brand really cares about something and if it's truly a value to them is it something they would be willing to lose money on? And Patagonia is a great example. I mean, they make bazillion dollars, but I know they've done those like blackout days where like their just website goes off for a day, and so it's like you can't buy anything on their website. And it's like, that is so much more powerful and adds more meaning to their brand than just selling like really nice outdoor products. And so that's kind of like a proof. That's like, that shows that the proof is in the pudding for them. You know, it's like, we're willing to shut down everything for a day because like we care about this stuff. And so I think it was, yeah, I think Jared said this is Black Friday. I think they like shut down on Black Friday. Don't know if they do it every year, but I love that. Oh yeah. Everlane the fact that Everlane sold to Shine, I never know how you pronounce it. Like, that is absolutely crazy. Just like two polar opposites of like this brand that was supposed to be like really intentional and thoughtful and ethical, maybe bought by the least ethical brand, like one of the least ethical fashion brands out there. Incredible. Good work for them. I at least hope everyone at Everlane got a real nice payday. But so I guess if this like, all right, human attention's becoming more valuable. What are kind of some questions? Oh, Jared, yeah. CEO of Costco and his outlook on hot dogs. Yes. Like, that is such a great example of someone who just cares about what their brand is supposed to embody. Like, the fact that he will just, like, threatens people if they ever increase the cost of the hot dog is just like so symbolic of the way they think about everything. and they treat their employees well. They're great. Oh yeah, and Valerie, the recent Patagonia drama. No brand is perfect, I guess. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, there's a drag performer named Patagonia who like does a lot of stuff riffing off of the Patagonia name, and it's just turned into like this terrible court case. And oh man, this is maybe a whole other conversation for another day, where you like get into like the ethics and legality of like appropriating art and corporate assets. And we talked last week in the Wipeout episode about subvertising, where you kind of like steal things from corporations and steal the language of corporations to subvert and add satire to it, and like what's the legality of that. There was like a huge movement of this. There was a huge movement of the like artists focusing on this, especially in the 90s. You had like oh my god, why am I blanking on all the names? Like Richard Prince was an artist who did a lot of work in this. I'm not going to pull up Richard Prince's artwork right now because I don't know what it'll show. But did a lot of work in that world of just like pushing the limits and legality of like art versus corporations. I love it so much. That's great. Okay. Back to kind of this idea of like, what can brands do now that attention is becoming more valuable? Human attention is in a dwindling supply right now. So kind of like, what are some things brands can do? What are questions brands can ask themselves at this point? So, I mean, I think each brand's going to have to figure out how to navigate the future in their own way, whatever the way is best for them. I think these are kind of just some questions that come to mind for me of like, I do this in brand strategy documents a lot of like, here's questions to ask like internally, like when you are creating things. And these would be kind of ones that I think would kind of challenge this idea of like, how do we put attention forward? So one is just like, normally we're asking like, how do we get attention? How do we get engagement? But I think just simply flipping it to being like, how do we show attention? I think that's the thing where it's like, that can show up in like the way you handle support at a company. That can show up in just the way you like prepare your products, if it's in packaging. I mean, everyone praises like Apple's packaging because it just like, it shouldn't be as beautiful and artful as it is and so detailed, but somehow it is. Like, that shows attention. Little things like that, down to that level. So another question is just like, did we care enough to actually perfect something? Did we care enough to perfect something and show it off? Because I think, especially in the tech side of it, we just kind of have this like, fuck it, build it, ship it kind of mindset. Especially, I think that's going to start happening faster and more as like AI starts assisting with developing digital products more and things like that. So the fact that if you can sit back and be like, did we actually perfect something here? And can we show that to someone? I think the other question is just like, what deserves our attention? You know, like, I think we forget as brands that like, we are humans that are usually our own audience a lot of the time. And so it's like, what deserves our attention? How do we put that back into the ether, into the world, so like people that care about what we do can share it in it? And maybe the last, since I've talked about like beauty and craft and how there's like different ways of communicating craft, where I talked about like beer brands doing all these wild different beer things to kind of like be crafty, but it just kind of got lost at some point. So I think like, and I've talked about this with a lot of brands who care about the idea of craft in their brand or like quality. I think I always ask of like, are we fetishizing craft or are we actually proving it? And I always call it fetishizing craft, because it's just like, you aren't actually doing the work to do it. You're just like talking it up. You're using the language of it. You're like romanticizing it away rather than like doing it authentically and genuine. And it's hard. It's difficult to do craft in a way where like you can actually see it and feel it. But it's very easy to just talk up quality and craft, and And as soon as anyone says, you know, like they're the best at everything, you're like, that's not the kind of quality and craft conversation we need to have. Hell yes, so good, the hot dog. God, I feel like the Costco hot dogs have come up a couple times in our streams now, and it's been years since I've had a Costco hot dog. Maybe I need a Costco trip in my life soon. All right. So, I guess kind of like, I don't know. This has been a lot of there's a lot of thoughts. I don't have any answers on any of this stuff. There's no answers to this. We're all in middle of the, oh god, I don't know. I don't want to be too dreary. we're all in middle of some really unknown territory when it comes to technology, and specifically as like makers. And you know, we're especially as like designers, writers, people who care about aesthetics and meaning. I think it's been a really challenging time for folks when the world has then become about engagement on this, in this attention economy, where it's not about meaningful engagement. It's just about like, how do we get an eyeball to go to the next one, to go to the next one, to go to the next one. And I think that's, I feel like that's been challenging for people, at least like me, who are like, I really care about slowing down and taking in the meaning of something that's been made. And that's definitely not how our attention economy is operating right now. But so, I mean, I don't know, every company's screaming for our attention right now. But I think very few are probably showing that they're really paying attention to you. And I think that's going to be, there's something in there that can be unlocked. And I think that's going to be where there's some kind of like space where brands can start working. And so I think attention and care and passion and joy will become brand differentiators for a lot of different brands who really care about that human experience. And I think craft, beauty, taste, I think they've always been at the heart of attention and care. Like, I think those are always interlocking, because I think craft, beauty, and taste, they are attention embodied, you know, physical or digital. We can feel it when that happens. So I think in the age of algorithms, you know, efficiency, optimization, and infinite content, the brands that stand out might not be the fastest and loudest. And, you know, they might not be the biggest either. I think that's okay. Like, not every company needs to be $1 trillion company. It's okay if you're a good lifestyle company, you're slow and steady wins the race. Over time, you've got your focus. You don't need to be fast and loud. You just keep doing what you do best. So I think the ones that might start getting ahead in some of those areas is just the ones that feel like another human was there. We've been talking a lot in our office about how we communicate tech in a way that feels like it's being made by people who actually care and care about the person who's on the other end and doing the making. And that's, I mean, I think this is gonna be a continually evolving thing. I don't know if I have any deep insights there, but I think it is to just communicate to people, as in like, people have value. The technology is like a tool that helps give them value, as opposed to the other way around. So I don't know, like I feel like, you know, I try desperately not to be too like dread filled with this. I'm a pretty far left progressive in my politics, and I feel like it's very easy to look at the world right now and be a drag. And I feel like the people of my shared political interests are often, I mean, honestly, a little critical, a little annoying, a little whiny. And I mean, there's lots of things to be whiny about. And so I'm trying to like look at this and be like, I think it's a pretty radical act to look in the face of efficiency and optimization and just say, no, I'm going to do it my way. Like, it doesn't have to be like some grumpy thing. It's just like, I like doing things the way I like doing things. Maybe it'll take longer. Maybe it'll be slower. But I'll experience a joy and like a level of fulfillment that I wouldn't maybe otherwise get. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of at odds with the way we think about business, corporate culture in general. Like it must always be faster, more efficient, keep growing. And so I think, like, you know, we gotta hustle and we gotta hustle, I guess. But sometimes it's worth remembering to just take a step back, experience the joy. And as a brand, like, how do I help my fans find that joy as well? And I think that's going to be like the biggest way to stand out during all of this. But anyway, that's Calvin's motivational talk for the day. I think this is really just me talking to myself, being like, you can do it, Calvin. You can make things that are filled with joy. All right, I can't hang on too long today. I've got a meeting in just a few, but everyone, what are some of your favorite ways to go touch grass? You know, what do you do? You need to get away from the screen. You got to stop doom scrolling. What's like your favorite like real life experience where you actually feel #present? Like mine is one of my go-tos, the place where I always call it going to church. I go to metal shows all the time. And metal shows are great. They're super loud and noisy. You're just surrounded in the sweaty dark room with a bunch of other nerds who are into metal like that. And I feel like I can kind of shut off all of those other parts of my brain that are just like screaming that like, I need to do this, I gotta go here. And sometimes it can be a very like meditative experience, even though you're surrounded by all this noise and usually angry music. So that's one of mine. Oh, Jared says digging for vinyl in antique stores. Yes, I love a good vinyl digging day. Okay, this has been one of my favorite. This is just one of my favorite things I've ever done vinyl wise. So here in Portland, there's a legendary place called Music Millennium, and I did a date night there with my wife one time. And the rule was we could only spend $10 on a vinyl, and we had to go find one, and then we would find like each of us would find a vinyl that cost $10 and come home and make a cocktail at home, listen to the vinyl that we got. And incredible. Honestly, so fun. First of all, very hard to find some vinyl there that's only $10. So you start digging just the craziest like avant-garde section, some weird old jazz section. That's very fun. So, oh, Nick says chopping wood is so satisfying. Nick, I feel like you've had a lot of trees fall in your yard, if I remember right. So yeah, you've probably had to do a lot of wood chopping. I totally get that. Chopping wood there is something really nice about that. Like, I feel like, especially being a designer, I mean, for 20 plus years now, Nick, I know you can definitely relate. Like, we're often like working on timescales that are months long. And so when you get to just do a task like that, that's dead simple, like I see this pile, I got to do the thing. And at the end of this, it will be done. And I will just be able to kind of like zone, like really lock in and do it. And you get that like immediate, like, I did it, it's great. Like a lot of crafts do that for me. Like I like painting minis for like board games. Board games that are my other form of touching grass. I play a lot of board games. In fact, that's the plan today after work. It's board game night, so. And the game we're playing is called Earthborn Rangers, which is a whole like futuristic game about exploring the possibilities of what if the post-apocalypse happens and we actually become better as humans, as opposed to more evil. So maybe that's related to today. Oh, Valerie says moss on trees. Yes. Moss on trees. If you grew up in the desert, you just don't know. Moss on trees is beautiful. Yeah, dang. Now I want to go digging for some vinyl now. Jared, next time you're in Portland, we can all let's do a Parliament trip to Music Millennium. We can do the $10 rule. We'll make it our date night. We can have our own Parliament date night where we each get $10 to go digging for some esoteric album. But all right, well, I think I probably got to wrap up for the day. That was great. That was fun little chat. I don't know. I don't know how to end this one. I feel like this one is kind of just a this is kind of just a me old man Luddite yelling at the future. But I mean, I think we're at like a really interesting time with tech and brands, and I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but I think the thing that definitely never goes out of style is just like showing that you care. I feel like we're entering a time where there's going to be a lot of people forgetting to show that they care. They're going to just be cranking out work that's just meant to grab eyeballs. And that's fine. Sometimes we got to do that. I mean, we've all done that if we're working in branding and marketing, but sometimes it's best to just slow down, make something real that feels real meaningful to you, whether it's for work or just something at home. But I also think like brands can apply that to the way they think about things too. So everybody go be an Iron City beer. Go reimagine your heritage and just keep it going. I think that was the best. But all right. Next week, it'll be same bat place, same bat time. We'll don't know exactly what the subject's going to be. We keep talking about millennial branding a lot, and I'm going to want to get into that at some point of like what that 20+ year era of millennial branding was. So I've been thinking a lot about that, but I don't know if we've been talking about some other fun possibilities of pulling some other Parliament folks in. And one thing that we're known for inside the Parliament office is having some pretty heated, intense debates about things. Maybe things we don't even care about at all, like is hot dog a sandwich kind of thing. But so we might end up doing that here in the future at some point too, where we just kind of get a couple of us together and bring up something that's worth debating and have some hot takes. So there's gonna be some more stuff happening with You're Not the Audience soon. So otherwise, I'm Calvin, and this was You're Not the Audience. I'll see you back here next Thursday at noon. Thanks so much, everybody. This was great.